Have you ever bought a belt, jacket, or bag that you thought was leather, only to have it start peeling or cracking after just a few months of owning it? Yeah, well, I've been there and I've done that. I was the unknowing consumer that fell for all of those tricks, but now I know better. And us at Leather Honey, we want you to be aware of the differences so you can choose the right leather for you without being misinformed and potentially scammed. And it usually happens because we're being sold something that is marketed as leather, but really isn't. So in this video, I wanted to help you guys cut through the confusion and give you some simple but reliable ways to know the difference between real leather and fake leather. Hey guys, my name is Evan with Leather Honey, and let's jump right in. Tip number 1, how to spot real leather when shopping online. Guys, let's be real. Shopping for leather online can be a total gamble, especially when buying secondhand. You type leather into Amazon or maybe eBay, and suddenly you're flooded with all of these listings for leather jackets, bags, shoes. And what actually comes up is PU leather, vegan leather, 100% bonded leather, leatherette, and most of them aren't leather at all, nor do they have the qualities of genuine leather that are known to last decades. But here's the deal. Faux leather is basically plastic. It just breaks down so quickly. It can't be repaired the same way that leather can, unfortunately. It's just terrible for the environment. It clogs up landfills, it flakes into microplastics, and it just doesn't hold up. Real leather, on the other hand, it's organic, it's biodegradable, it's strong, and when you care for it well, it can last decades, not just a season. So what's the solution? Don't rely on the product title, rather check the materials list or tags if possible. Look for phrases like 100% genuine leather, full grain leather, or top grain leather. Avoid anything labeled PU, vegan, bonded leather, or faux leather. All of those are glued and plastic substitutes that will fall apart sooner than later. And to be honest, you may spend a little bit more upfront on real leather, but if you think of it in terms of price per use, it's often a better investment. If real leather boots cost you, let's say, 150 bucks and last you 5 years, maybe that's around 1,000 wears, that's just 15 cents per wear. But fake leather boots can cost $50 and only last 6 months, maybe 100 wears, and that's 50 cents per wear. Remember that just because a piece is labeled as leather doesn't mean it's genuine. Tip number 2, look at the surface grain. Real leather is not perfect, and that's exactly what makes it so beautiful. You will often see tiny pores, natural wrinkles, stretch marks, bug bites, maybe even scars. These subtle imperfections are actually a good sign. They are proof that you're looking at something that was real, something with a story and true character. Fake leather, on the other hand, is usually something that looks a little too perfect. The surface grain might repeat itself multiple times in a uniform way, almost like a computer-generated pattern. But if every pore and wrinkle looks exactly the same, that's a dead giveaway that you're probably dealing with some synthetic material that's been stamped or embossed to look like leather, but underneath, it isn't. And that said, I will note that there is a real type of leather that's called corrected grain leather, and it's worth understanding. Corrected grain leather is made from genuine hides, but it's usually from the lower grade pieces that often have those surface flaws. So to fix those imperfections, the top layer is sanded down and then stamped with an artificial grain pattern. So while it's technically real leather, corrected grain leather loses a lot of what makes it full grain: its natural texture, breathability, and ability to age gracefully. It can still look good, and depending on your needs, it might be a totally fine option, but it won't develop that rich patina over time or mold to your use the way that higher end leathers will. And to be completely clear, it's not wrong to buy corrected grain or heavily pigmented leather. In fact, many luxury and designer handbags use highly finished leather that's been coated with pigments and sealants to make it more durable. That makes it more uniform, scratch resistant, and it also means the leather can't breathe or age the way untreated or highly treated leather does. So the bottom line is, if you're trying to tell whether something is fake or real leather, pay close attention to the surface grain. Look for subtle inconsistencies and natural markings. And if it's something that looks flawless and perfectly repeated, there's a good chance it's not the real deal. Tip number 3, feel it. Touch is everything. Personally, I can often about a 90% success rate determine whether a piece is genuine leather just by being able to feel it. That's because most of the leather products you see out there today, like I said, are synthetic imitations, and they almost always give themselves away the second you touch them. Real leather has a unique feel. It's usually supple, slightly grainy or textured, and warms up quickly in your hand. It has a density and a softness that feels alive, warm, and pliable, and full of character. And as you run your fingers across it, you might feel subtle inconsistencies, pores, or tiny ridges in the grain. Fake leather, often made from plastics like polyurethane or PVC, feels very different. It's typically lighter, stiffer, and more uniform in texture. It may feel cool or even cold to the touch, slightly sticky or rubbery, and it doesn't soften or mold in your hand the way that genuine leather does. Instead of that comforting, almost velvety give that the real leather has, synthetics feel more like plastic. Weight can also be a clue. Real leather tends to be denser and heavier due to the tightly packed fibers of the hide. And if you pick up a jacket, bag, or a pair of boots that it feels suspiciously light, it may be a sign you're dealing with faux leather, or at the very least, lower grade type of leather. Bottom line, your hands can often feel the truth before your eyes can. So trust your touch, and if something feels off, it probably is. You know, a lot of people think that faux leather is better for the environment than real leather, but that's actually not the case. Faux leather is usually made from plastics like I said, polyurethane or PVC, which come from fossil fuels. They don't break down naturally and can release harmful chemicals when they're made or thrown away. A lot of brands promote themselves as eco-friendly by skipping genuine leather, but honestly guys, that claim can be pretty misleading. In many cases, these synthetic alternatives end up having a bigger environmental impact than responsibly sourced real leather. Tip number 4, check the edges. This method is nearly foolproof. It's checking the fibers on the side of the material you're inspecting. However, oftentimes manufacturers put an edge coat on the side of the leather to hide and protect the fibers. This is normal for things like belts and designer bags. However, if there is an exposed edge where you have good eyes, or rather a good camera, you can zoom in, snap a photo, and just see it that way. Is it fake fibers or is it real leather fibers? The edges of the real are rough and fibrous. That's because the leather is skin. It's made up of natural fibers, right? But fake leather is usually, you're gonna see fabric with a plastic top layer. So the edges look very clean, very smooth, almost like it's been sealed. If it looks too perfect on the sides or has a shiny edge, there's a good chance it's not real leather. And this is the way that I can be most certain whether something is real or not. But when it comes to finer leathers like a calfskin leather or something very thin like a goat skin, there's not too much to look at. So it can be a little bit more difficult. And that's where this next one comes in. Tip number 5, look at the backside of the leather if possible. If you can sneak a peek at the backside of your full grain leather, like under the flap or inside a bag or a strap, this is one of the easiest ways that you can tell what you're working with. Like I said, real leather has a suede-like backing. It looks a little fuzzy, fibrous, and maybe uneven. That's the natural underside of a hide. It's not glued on, it's part of the leather itself. Rather, fake leather, on the other hand, almost always has a fabric lining like I just mentioned on the back. It might even look woven or like a mesh or like a felt or plastic. Sometimes it's glued onto the base to give its thickness, but it's not one solid piece. So if the backside looks like the fabric or foam, well, there's your answer. Not genuine leather. Now, just to be certain, a lot of designers and manufacturers line their leather jackets or bags with a satin or smooth fabric to give them a nice finish when you're putting them on, and also to protect the leather. But if you can sneak past that flap for that material and check if there's any exposed edges or you can see the back. Super easy way to see what you're dealing with. And if it looks like suede or it feels raw, probably the real deal. Last resort, just read the tag, guys. That is if it still has one. By law, manufacturers are required to disclose the materials used in the product, especially for things like furniture or jackets or bags or shoes. And this little tag can tell you everything you need to know. If it's real leather, you will usually see something along the lines of 100% genuine leather, full grain leather, or even top grain leather. You might also see care instructions like clean by leather specialist only or professional leather cleaning recommended. That's a really good sign that you're actually dealing with genuine leather. But if the tag says something like man-made materials, PU leather, bonded leather, or just materials synthetic, yeah, that's definitely not the real deal. So always take a look at the tag. It's one of the easiest ways to get a clear answer. No guessing, no sniff test, just straight up facts. So if you take one thing out of all of this, know this, all right? When you know how to spot real leather, you can buy smarter. You'll invest in pieces that actually can last. Best of all, you'll start to appreciate the natural imperfections because that is what makes leather beautiful and unique. But let's also talk real quick about leather care. If you already own something that's real leather, but it's looking a little dry, tired, or just plain neglected, don't toss it, guys. You can clean off the dirt, grime, and oil from the leather. You can condition stiff, dry, and tired leather. You can restore it, and it's easier than you guys can imagine. Now, there's something a lot of people don't know. Even though Leather Honey was made for real leather in mind, it can actually help prolong the life of all kinds of materials, including faux leather. Yep, even synthetic materials can benefit from a little care. And one more reason we stand behind Leather Honey is because it's non-toxic, environmentally friendly, and pH balanced, which means that it's not only safe for you, your family, and your pets, but also specially formulated to nourish your leather without breaking it down over time. And if you're ready to give your leather the love it deserves, Leather Honey has been around since 1968. That's over 50 years of trusted leather care. We're family owned, made right here in the USA, and we've earned the trust of over 60,000 5-star reviews on Amazon and counting. So when we say we know leather, we mean it. And as a little thank you for watching this entire video, we wanted to hook you guys up with an exclusive limited time discount. Just use this code at checkout on leatherhoney.com and you'll get 20% off plus free shipping on your first order. A lot of cleaners and conditioners on the market use chemicals that can actually damage your leather in the long run. But Leather Honey is different because it's designed to work with your leather, not against it. So whether you're restoring a vintage find or just doing regular upkeep with your leather, you can feel good about knowing you're using something that's both gentle and powerful and won't harm the planet. I'm Evan with Leather Honey. Remember that leather is forever with Leather Honey.